Welcome to What's Cooking. I'm Rebecca Werner, the registered dietitian with the Hearts Beat Back Heart of New Ulm project. Tonight, we're in my own kitchen, and I'm here with my own husband. How are you, Dave?
Well, you know, I'm still kind of bumming after that Packer loss, but I'll survive.
Okay, so tonight we're going to be making some sirloin steaks. We're going to go ahead and have some caramelized onion with that. We're going to use a little bit of goat cheese to add the flavor at the end. So Dave is in charge of the meat. I'm going to work on the sides to go along with it. So let's go ahead. We're going to start with a base of canola oil. That's the balsamic vinaigrette, so we're going to go with that one.
I better turn the burner on, huh?
Yeah. So just a little bit of oil to make sure that our meat isn't going to stick. That's good. Now, what we're going to do, this normally calls for a sirloin. What we use actually, instead of they actually call for a tenderloin. We used a sirloin because of the cost. We're going to use a bigger piece of meat, and so we're going to cut that into some smaller portions. So go ahead, we'll get that started going. With this too, we're going to be making some caramelized onions. So while that gets started, I'm going to go ahead and start chopping. I'm very sensitive to the onions, so you may see me cry.
Oh, you'll make it.
I'll make it. All right. Now I do have a little guard here. If you do have a mandolin, make sure you're always using your protective guard, just because this is a very sharp blade, and we want to make sure that you don't cut the ends of your fingers off when you get down to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do it. Okay.
You're pretty good at that.
Yeah, I've had some practice. So we know that the onions are going to be good for heart health. They're going to add a lot of flavor, but they're also going to be a filler. So instead of always looking for sides that are going to be pasta or potato or starch base, by using these vegetables, we can fill up our plate, fill up our stomachs without overdoing it on the calories and the carbohydrates. Now with this, I'm going to make actually 2 to 3 onions. It is a big part of the dish, so the more we have, the better. Remember, these are going to be non-calorie containing or very low, so we're going to add as many as possible. So Dave, if you want to go ahead and add about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of the beef broth here. Again, instead of just adding a regular water, the beef broth is going to bring out the flavor of the meat and make it that much more tasty. We want to make sure that this is very tender, so we are looking for a medium rare to a medium cut. Oh, my eyes.
You all right?
I want to cry.
Can you see me?
Hardly. Just by having that beef broth, it will pull out some of the flavor of the meat. Now remember, we do use a broth pretty sparingly because it is a high sodium food. So if you have any issues with blood pressure or any fluid retention, we want to make sure you're watching the amount of sodium that you're putting into your diet. Okay, so with that then, we're going to add just a little bit of brown sugar. We have about 1/4 cup. Go ahead. This is going to add the sweet flavor to the onions and help the caramelization.
Across all of it?
Yep, go ahead. And then I think we're ready to go ahead and
It's clumpy.
just put it all in, and you can use your
Stir it around.
yeah, you stir it around. That's a
I
great
have to actually
idea.
do some work, huh?
All right. So once that's in, we'll add the onions. Now, once this gets settled, we are going to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar once the onions have been, when we start to see that opaque color coming through. What do you think? Is that going to be enough onions, or should I cut one more?
I think we have enough onions.
Okay.
I think your eyes would like it too if we gave
Yeah.
it less.
So a very easy dinner. You know, we're going to make sure we get that meat filled all the way through and add the vinaigrette. So while he's doing that, the important part that we're going to add to this is we're going to make a nice side dish to go along with it. Put these onions in there. Got a few extra for you. Okay. What I did is, because I like a mix, instead of just having a pure romaine or just lettuce, I have a bagged mix tonight. This is the Mediterranean mix. It has a lot of different things in here. It has lemon, caper. It will go with those, and it has quite a bit of the radicchio, the endive, some different flavors in our salad. Remember, we always struggle with salad fatigue if we have the same thing over and over again. It's so important to get those 7 to 9 fruits and vegetables, and yet we have to have variety in that, or it's just not going to last. So we're going to use this nice mix here, and with that, we're going to use a little bit of a raspberry vinegar. To do that, I'm going to use a 1 to 4 ratio. Okay, so we're going to use about 1 to 2 teaspoons, or tablespoons, excuse me, of the raspberry vinegar. This is very different than the balsamic vinegar, so we have 2 different varieties. This is going to add a nice fruity flavor to it, and if you wouldn't mind handing me that canola oil. So we do, again, a 1 to 4. So we're going to add just a little bit more oil to this to dilute it and give it that nice flavor.
Can I add some vinegar?
We're gonna. I don't think so yet. We're gonna make sure that we get our meat all the way through. We want to make sure that your onions are still pretty white. We want to make sure that those are opaque and almost completed by the time we do that. What's going to happen is this is all going to boil down. We're going to have a nice caramelized substance on the bottom, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, so we're going to give it a little bit more time. Okay, so once we have our vinaigrette made, and mix that up. All right, and then we're going to be using some sliced almonds. We're going to use, this is pretty much to taste. Remember, they do have calories. They are good fats. They help bring down your bad cholesterol and up your good. And add that right on top. And then for the additional flavor, we're going to be using some goat cheese. Now, you can find crumbled goat cheese already, or you can just buy it in chunk and break it up yourself.
What's so special about the goat cheese?
Well, the goat cheese is actually a little bit lower in saturated fat and much lower in sodium. And you can get it in some really great flavors. So I'm using actually the honey goat cheese.
Honey goat?
Yeah. So now if I were to have just goat cheese plain, it can be a bit tart. Now by using the acidic or the base of the vinegar, it's going to neutralize that out, and this is going to turn it into a really great salad. So how are your steaks coming?
Oh, they're just the way I like them.
A little longer.
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like you're about ready to add your balsamic vinegar. We're just going to add about 1/4 cup of that.
Can I add it now?
Yeah, go right ahead. All right, and I don't suggest adding your salad dressing until you're ready to serve. With such great flavor in these leafy greens, you might find that a small amount of dressing is really all that's needed. Now, if you don't like goat cheese, a feta would work perfectly on this as well. All right, so you can see it's starting to caramelize. It's starting to get that nice color to it. Yeah, so we're about at rare, maybe a little bit better, huh?
Yeah.
We're getting there. Okay. Now, because we already have the chopped onions, they're all sliced, ready to go. This is a nice addition on the top of our salad as well. Easy, ready to go. We'll set our dressing on the side. All right, so we'll get that finished up. So we know that these portions are going to be more than our 3 ounces, so we'll actually be cutting these in half before serving. But a nice quality piece of red meat like this is fine in the diet in moderate amounts and infrequent times. We want to make sure that we incorporate lots of nuts as the base of our protein when following the Mediterranean diet. Yeah, I think those look good.
They look spectacular.
Now, because we already used that plate, we're going to make sure we plate it on a clean plate. We don't want any cross-contamination. We want to make sure that we use clean, sanitary cooking technique. If we wanted to use something a little bit lighter instead of the balsamic vinaigrette, we could use a white wine, a white cooking wine, or regular white drinking wine that will evaporate off all of your alcohol and is fine for serving for your entire family. What do you think? I'll grab a plate, and I think we're almost ready to eat.
Super.
One of the important changes we've made in our house is going down to a smaller plate size. We used to use a regular 12-inch plate like we had over here for putting our meat on, but when serving our foods, we've used the smaller lunch plate. This has reduced our overall calorie intake by over 30%. As we all get older and watch our weight, we want to make sure we use any technique possible to keep a control on portion size and the foods that we choose. All right, I think it looks great. Thanks for your help.
Are we going to taste it?
Sure. All right, we're about to eat, so that's it for this week's episode of What's Cooking. I'll see you next week.